Okay, the first chapter is chapter 11. We have 10 chapters to cover for the semester. So that means we shall finish in 10 weeks. The semester is 16 weeks, but if we finish in 10 weeks, we shall be doing other chapters which are subsidiary. They are not very, very important, but we start with the 10 most important chapters. And those people who can hand in 10 assignments complete in time, I will not need any more assignments. So, so this is what we are going to do. And the assignments must be complete. If you answer just one question and you don't answer all the questions, you don't expect to get 100%. Because you get credit for what you've done. You have to done a complete work. And all these assignments directly come from this book, word for word. If you have your text, you just copy and submit, and you get 100% and pass. It's as easy as that. And your assignments have 20% of your grade, and 20% midterm, 20% final exam. The rest are on quizzes and your behavior. Your behavior is 10%. That means your behavior in class, participation, how you conduct yourself. Okay, so I want you to know this from the beginning. So chapter 11, the title is Human Organization. Now, all the chapters will be dealing with the human body. That's why it is much easier than Biology 1. Because Biology 1 is very diversified. It deals with chemistry, metabolism, all kinds of things. It deals with populations, things which are not specifically biological, but they are related to biology. They help you to understand biology better, because Biology 1 gives you a base to move on to Biology 2. That's why we start from the foundation. So this is going to be much easier if you did well in Biology 1. If you did not get Biology 1 very well, you're going to struggle. So the human organization is kind of a review, one of the foundations of biology, which we covered in Biology 1. So in Biology 2, we are going to look at its application, how we apply those into the human body. So we know that we are all organisms, and all organisms include plants. We are plants because we have all the 7 characteristics of living things, which you remember we did in Biology 1. And we did, one of the characteristics is that the organisms, both plants and animals, are organized. And they are organized in levels of hierarchical levels, from top to bottom. That means the top is the organism, which is complete, the whole body. Then that organism is divided into systems, which we call organ systems. And then example, cardiovascular, respiratory, digestive, endocrine, immune system, musculoskeletal, all those 10 systems. And in Biology 2, we are going to take each one of these systems per week. That's why we are going to have 10 weeks on the systems. So, but we begin with the foundation, the basic of each system. This is what is found in each of the systems of the body. So the organization is the organism is divided into organ systems. And from organ system, you come to the third level, which is organs. Because the organs make organ systems. And each organ is made up from tissues. So each organ has tissues. And you remember the definition of tissue. Who can tell me what we learned in Biology 1? What's the definition of a tissue? What is a tissue if somebody asks you, because you have completed Biology 1? If you tell them, I get a good grade in Biology 1, and they ask you, what is a tissue? How can you explain the definition of a tissue? Anybody? None of you? Okay. Okay. You need to review biology 1 because, as I told you, that is the foundation of biology 2. The first chapter 11 is dealing with tissues. So you have to know the definition of tissue. A tissue, as we defined it even from biology 1, is a group of cells which look alike in structure. They look the same structure, same shape, and the same configuration, but again, they perform a similar function. They have a definite function that all of them perform. So they have only one duty with all of them do. So they just work together as a team. If you play in basketball team, you all play to win the game. So it is same goal. That's what the tissue does. So now we begin with tissues, which is going to be in the pop quiz. If you don't take notes, the same things I'm going to ask you at the end of the class. Remind me when it is 10 minutes to end the class. The class ends at 3:25.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 3:25. So when it is 3:15, warn me so that we start taking the quiz.
Okay. I gave everyone one of these.
Yeah, thank you. So look, we start with the tissues. These are the tissues in the human body. The human body has different types of tissues, but there are 4 of them which are the major types of tissue. You have to know that. So, because all the systems we are going to do are made up of tissues which make organs, and organs make up systems. So the 4 types of tissues are the following. I want you to have that in your notes. The first one is squamous epithelial tissue. That's number 1. Number 2 is connective tissue. Number 3 is muscular tissue. Number 4 is nervous tissue. Those are 4 tissues. So if anybody asks you how many types, major, if they use the word major, you have to mention those 4. Yes?
Can you say them again?
4 major types of tissues. Okay, so each one of these 4 major tissues have subtypes. There are different types of each tissue, and that is the detail that we go into. I've given you summaries of this, but still you will do much better if you take notes. Okay, so let us look at the sub-tissues of this. First, we mentioned the first one is called epithelial tissue. Now, you need to understand the term epithelial. So if you understand the meaning of that term, it is easy to remember. And you cannot forget it easily. If once you learn it, it goes in your permanent memory and you master it for life. So most of the terminologies in science can be broken down into simpler components like segments, like epithelial tissue. Any word that starts with epi, the word epi, the part epi means above or on top. Like the top surface layer. Thelia means layer. So epithelial tissue, these are the tissues which form surfaces of organs. So you find them at the surfaces of organs. Most of the organs, like the cardiovascular respiratory system, they are lined up with epithelial tissue. That means a sheet covering the surface. Now, you are supposed to know where they are found in the body and their function. Very important. They will ask you this not only in the quiz but in the test. In 4 weeks, you are going to have one of the first major tests called week 4 test, because we shall be 1 month in the semester. They want to test if you are meeting the expectations. This test is reported to the academic dean, because they want to know how you're learning. If your learning is effective, are you doing well or you're not doing well? If you're not doing well, here they want to give you some help. They want to help you. They want to find out first why you're not doing well. And once we find out which we can do, then we tell you to correct it and do better. But after 2 weeks, they visit with you. If they find that you're still not improving, then they may recommend that you withdraw from the course. Because if you continue until midterm, it is too late to drop. And then you are going to end up with an F. If you get an F in any course, you have to repeat it again, because you cannot graduate. And you are here to graduate and take your degree and move on to whatever you want, go to work or go higher education. So you cannot. If you get a D, you can graduate, but D is not transferable. And some places, they may make you repeat that course again. So your goal should be the minimum C, but you should aim at higher grades. So that is how you get your higher grades. Okay, so the epithelial tissues are of 4 different subtypes. You have to know those subtypes, and you have to know where they are found and their function. So these subtypes, they are found in layers of tubes, mainly tubular structures, tubular organs, like the respiratory system. Now, the respiratory system, from your nose to your lungs, there's a tube. This tube has different parts. The part that goes straight down here is called the trachea. In the ordinary people call it the windpipe. And there is the voice box here, which we call the larynx. And then we have the trachea. The trachea divides into 2 branches. Each of those branches have different names. We don't call them parts of trachea. We call them bronchi. One is bronchus, but there are 2 plural, so we call them bronchi. And these bronchi also divide into smaller branches as they go deeper and deeper into the lungs. The smaller branches are called bronchioles. Then the bronchioles are now much smaller, which end up with small airbags. These airbags are called alveoli. So all that I've mentioned are all organs of the respiratory system. But since they are tubes, their inner wall is lined up with epithelial tissue. So that is where you find epithelial tissue. You also find them in the digestive system. Digestive system is also made up of tubes. From your mouth to your throat, to your esophagus, to your stomach, to your intestines, it's all tubes until your rectum. So the food that you eat passes through that tube and it comes out after the digested ones, absorbable, have gone into your blood. So the inner lining wall of those tubes is made up of epithelial tissue. So we have 4 different types of epithelial tissue. Oh, I didn't bring my meter pointer. So I'll show you here. Now we have these 4 types. Okay. The first one is called squamous epithelial tissue. The second one is called cuboidal epithelial tissue. The third one is called columnar epithelial tissue. The fourth one is called stratified squamous epithelial tissue. So those are 4 subtypes of the same type of tissue, the epithelium. So you see how it breaks into branches, smaller ones, and they have different names for each. And they have different structures. They are different, since they are the same tissue, but they are different tissues. Because where you find them and what they do may be different, which follows the definition of a tissue. Okay, so squamous cells, this is how they are different. They are made up of cells that are packed wall to wall, like you see here. See, they are packed wall to wall. And they are very thin. They don't leave much space between them, and they are very thin. So that is why they serve the purpose of forming the lining of these tubes. Because these tubes, serve the purpose of transmitting molecules in and out. For example, in the lungs, they transmit the molecules of air molecules like oxygen and carbon dioxide. Oxygen, which we breathe from the atmosphere, go into your blood, but carbon dioxide comes out. So they pass through these cells. Also, not only molecules of air or gases, but also molecules of other substances like mucus. Mucus is fluid that is sticky. When you blow your nose, that thing that comes out of your nose, which is sticky, the fluid, is mucus. Now, the mucus comes from the lungs. In the lungs, we have, can you?
Yeah, I'm over here.
Okay. In the lungs produce, they have glands called mucus glands. So these mucus glands produce the mucus and then they secrete them to the tubes, the surface of the tubes. So they line up, they're just like cementing the surface of these tubes. But they have a function, because the function of that mucus is protective function. They protect you from infection. And they protect your lungs from damage. Because when you breathe in air, the air has a lot of things. It comes with a lot of things. It comes with the dust. You cannot see them, but they're just floating here in the air. They come up with pollen. They can come up with even poisonous gases. And you breathe them into your lungs, so they pass into your lungs. But this mucus does not allow them to pass through because they get stuck, because the mucus is sticky. So that is the protective function that they do for you. So it's part of your immune system, protects you from infection. So that is one. In the digestive system, they may produce acids. For example, in the stomach, they may produce hydrochloric acid, one of the acids that is very, very powerful. And this acid can kill bacteria as well as helping your digestion. If you eat food which is contaminated, then whatever the microorganisms that could make you sick, have infection, are killed by the acid. So it protects you from infection from the digestive system. Now, in the other tubes, like in the blood vessels, they help to allow the exchange of gases. Like if you go to the smallest blood vessels, which are called capillaries, that is where gases are exchanged. Oxygen goes in and carbon dioxide comes out. Okay, so that is the squamous epithelial cells, and you can see their structure, how they look. Then we have also another type of epithelial tissue, which is tubular epithelial tissue. Not tubular, columnar epithelial tissue. This looks like columns. They are long, and in your book they give better pictures than this. They look like pillars. That's why we call them columnar, like columns. Now these ones serve to give strength to the tissues beneath, more deeper into the wall. So you might find them in places where strength is needed in those tubes, because those tubes must be strong enough so that they don't rupture. Or you find them in places where there is more work to be done, like in the kidneys, for example. So those are columnar epithelial tissues. Then we have the cuboidal. They look like cubes, like ice cubes. But sometimes you might find just a layer, or you might find many layers. The more strength needed, the more layers needed. And when we have many layers of cells, then we call them stratified, which is the fourth type. Stratified. Strata means layer. Stratified means layer, so you made them into many layers. So those are the four types of epithelial tissue, their subdivisions, their functions, and where they are found. Okay, now we said there are 4 types. So we go to the next one is connective tissue. Now, the name connective means to link, to connect, to join, or to communicate. So these tissues, they form organs that are used as connection, like your ligaments, like your tendons, like muscles are tied onto the bones with tendons. Like you athletes, if you take a quick twist and the muscles which are tied on your limbs here can overstretch and break, so you get tendon rupture. And that is a serious injury that can take many, many weeks to recover. So these are very strong structures because they are meant to protect you from injuries. They are meant to keep the muscles on the bones because the muscles keep contracting and relaxing, and the bones keep you moving. So during the movements, you can move comfortably without getting any discomfort. That's what they do. So you already know where they are found. And their structure is like tendons, like rings, like strings. So they straight, they are long, and that makes them fulfill the function to connect with other organs and make them work in unity. Okay, so that is connective tissue. But we have also different types of connective tissue. As you can see in your book, we have different types of connective tissue. Some are called loose fibrous connective tissue. Some are called hyaline or cartilage. Some are called dense fibrous connective tissue. And then we have adipose tissue. So we have how many types? 5 types of connective tissue. Make sure you can remember these subtypes of the 4 major types that we mentioned. That's what makes it difficult. That's why you have to pay close attention and try to memorize it. Because unless you memorize it, you cannot remember it in the test, in the quiz. And then you get frustrated. So, the 5 types of connective tissue are loose connective tissue. Then we have a dense connective tissue. Loose means they are far apart. There's a lot of space between them. So these ones make structures that are soft. Some may be rigid but soft, like cartilage. Like look, your ears here. You see it like plastic. You can fold it, it goes back. If you fold it, it goes back. It doesn't break easily. It can stretch. It is soft. It is made up of cartilage. That's called hyaline tissue. But that's different from the tendons. And then we have the bones are also tissue. A bone is a tissue. It's a group of cells. And this is type of connective tissue, which is called dense connective tissue. Dense means thick. So they are so compact that they make very strong structures. Like bones are very hard, they're very strong. It is because of those cells are compacted together for the maximum strength. And that's what helps you to be strong and do all these activities. Then we have the last one is called adipose tissue. The word adipose means fat. Now this type of tissue is found in places where fat is stored. Because when you eat more food than your body needs food for excess, for energy, for doing things. All the things that you do, even sleeping, even breathing, writing, even when you open up your eyes, all require energy. That energy comes from food. But if you eat a normal balanced amount and not excessive, they supply you with enough energy to do all your activities. But if you eat that amount and you reduce your activity, that means you don't move a lot, you don't do a lot of movement or exercise, then the balance of the energy is converted into fat. And that fat is stored in specific parts of the body that are reserved for storage of fat. most of the time it will go under the skin. And under places which are a little bit extended below. In men, they go here in your belly. So you find people with hanging belly. That hanging belly is just fat below the skin. It is because probably they eat, but they don't do so much exercise. Although some people may do exercise but still have hanging belly, because there are differences, individual personal differences in the way our body works. Some of the people, the body burns heat more quickly, but some go very slowly. So if they do it slowly, the balance will be stored. And that's why those are the people who have difficulty maintaining healthy weight. Because heavy weight can result into obesity. And obesity, if not taken care of, can result into the last, a more serious case, which is an illness called morbid obesity. These are people who are so fat, so big, they cannot even move around. They just can lie down. They cannot even get up. They are weighing 400, 500 pounds. So that becomes a health problem. It is one of the most difficult diseases to treat and heal. So these days they have modern ways of, even very invasive ways, even involving surgery to remove that fat. Okay, but we are not going into that now. That is for anatomy and physiology, which you can do as an elective after biology too. Okay, so we have gone through all the different types of connective tissue. We have gone through all the different types of epithelial tissue. So the next one, which is the third one, is muscular tissue. And as you can see, okay, this is muscle. Just a little bit of it. If you see some dots. Those dots are cells. They are nuclei of cells. So, but these cells are compact. They are wall to wall. So you don't see a lot of space in between it. That's why you see it like this. Only the dots you see. That's how the muscle is made. But you have to remember that we have three types of muscles. One is found only in the heart and nowhere else in the body. And that one is called cardiac muscle. That's the type. So you find it only in the heart. The other one is called skeletal. The other type of muscle is called skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is found only outside. These are the ones you can touch, you see, they are the ones that help you to move your limbs because they are attached to the bone on top and at the ending of the bones to pull the bones so that you can bend or push so that you can stretch. So these are called skeletal muscle because skeleton is the bone. So they are on top of the skeleton. You can see them. These are the skeletal muscles. The third type, there are only three types of muscles. The third type is the smooth muscle. The smooth muscle is found internally most of the time. Most of the time they form organs. And most of these organs are tubular organs. They are tubes. Like the digestive system, the blood vessels, the respiratory system, the uterine system, the uterus, and the fallopian tube in the females. And they form in the urinary system, they form the urethra, they form the ureter. Ureter is the tube that passes the urine once it is formed in the kidney to the urinary bladder, which stores the urine, and once it is full, then your nervous system tells you to go to the restroom and empty your urinary bladder. Okay, all those the walls are made up of smooth muscle. So now you see, we have gone to the types, all the types, and we know the differences, and we know the parts of your body where they are found. You have to remember all that in that order. If you lose that order, you get lost. So this is very important.
The power's working.
Oh, thank you.
Circuit's working.
Oh, very good. So we can use it next class. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the circuit breaker was in the room. In the wall.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. we are almost done with this one. All right, so look, that is what you have to remember for any of the tests that will come. If you have them in your notes, if you know that, you will just enjoy the test. That's it. It's as easy as that. But if you ignore it and you don't take it, if you just take it for granted, that's when you will be frustrated in the test. And you can end up getting a lower grade or failing. And that is a disaster, because the consequences are very bad. And this time, I don't want people crying at the last minute that they are failing. I cannot help you at the last minute. If you don't turn in your assignments, you have to live with the circumstances. You have to repeat so that you learn from experience. It's a bitter pill, but if that's your choice, you take it. If your choice is to choose and get only A's, you get all A's, only A's. So that's what I'm telling you. So I've told you everything in this chapter, the most important. The rest in details you can read from the book. But what you will see in most of the exams is what we have covered so far. Any questions?
No.
Okay, we are almost done with the tissues. And what is left here? Okay. We already covered the organization of the human body, the organ system, muscular, all those 10 systems. So that's the end of it. Okay, so any questions before we go into the quiz? Okay, pull out a piece of paper and write your name.